So, last lesson we had a look at the perimeter of the sector, and we talked about the fact that when we're doing the perimeter of the sector, we need to find out the full circumference. Then we use theta over 360, but that only gives us the curved edge. So we also need to add the two radiuses. Now I'll do this one on the right here. Let me have a little look. So I'll do this one on the right. So we know that the curved, or the arc length, we did yesterday, which is over here. So we know that the arc length is equal to theta over 360 times by 2 pi r. We're going to write down what the radius and the diameter is first. The radius in this case is 2, the diameter is equal to 4. So let's substitute all this in. So my arc length is equal to my angle, which is 310, divided by 360. Times by 2 pi times by r, which is 2 as well. So we're going to type that into our calculator. Annoying. So into my calculator is going to be fraction button first. Fraction button first. So then I'm going to type 310 over 360. Press right times by 2 shift pi times by 2. We type it in, we get an arc length which is equal to 10.821, continuing on. Now remember, this is only this length here. That's only this length here. So we need to add on the 2 radius, which is here, which is 2 there and 2 there. So the perimeter, which is different to the arc length, is equal to 2 plus 2 plus, I'll do this to one decimal place, 10.8. So 2 plus 2 plus 10.8 is going to be equal to, why is it units meters squared there? It's not right, is it? 14.8 meters. 14.8 meters. Brilliant. So, let's have a go at our next question. So in fact, have a go at the one on the left yourself. Have a go at that one on your left yourself. Once you've got the answers, pop it in the notes. Okay. I'll give you another second or so. Anybody got the answer to that one yet? Good work. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to start going through this one, just as they're coming through. So remember that the arc length, which will be this part here, is equal to theta over 360 times by 2 pi r. So my arc length is equal to 54 over 360 times by 2 pi. Should need to write so my radius in this one is 12. My diameter would be equal to 24 times by 12 there. So let's type that into our calculator. So it's going to be fraction button first. 54 over 360 times by 2 shift pi times by 12, which is our radius. So that there is equal to 11.3 millimeters this time. Remember that this length here, which is 11.3 millimeters. So then I need to add on this side here and this side here, which are both going to be 12. So it's going to be 12 plus 12 plus 11.3, which is equal to, so 12 plus 12, 12 plus 12 plus 11.3, which is equal to 35.3. Which one did I tell you to do? Did I tell you to do the one on the right? Pop your hand up if you're happy with that. Pop your hand up if you're happy with that. Okay, let's move on then. Alright, so let's have a go at this one then. So get this one down here. This one here is example are we on? I'm sure it's example 4 or 5. this one here is example 4. So let's have a go at this one then. So this is example 4. So this one here is tricky, okay, because it tells you what the perimeter is. It tells you the perimeter is 25 centimeters there. Okay, it tells you the perimeter is 25 centimeters. So what we've got to do is, with this one here, we've got to work backwards. But we can't work backwards until we know what the arc length is, which is this part here. Because that's the formula we're going to be using. We know the formula for arc length is equal to theta over 360 times by 2 pi times by r. We know that. So the first thing we need to do is work out what our arc length is. And we do that by doing the 25 of the perimeter, take away these two here, which are the two radius. So my arc length is going to be 25 minus 9 minus 9. The 25 minus 9 minus 9 is equal to 7. So straight away I know that this here is equal to 7 centimeters. Now that's not the question. The question says find out this angle here, which is x. So find out this angle here. Now when we're working backwards, we need to follow the same rules, don't we? We need to write down a formula, substitute in everything we know, simplify, and then solve working backwards. Now the two things I know are my arc length. I also know that my radius is equal to 9, and my diameter would be equal to 18. Now you don't need to know the diameter, but I'm going to write it down anyway. Now I'm going to substitute in. So my arc length is 7 is equal to theta over 360 times by 2 pi times by r, which is 9. So I've wrote down my formula, which is this part here. I've then substituted in, and now I need to simplify. So 7 is equal to, well, 2 times pi times 9. Well, 2 times 9 is 18. So that's going to be 18 pi theta. Remember, the thing that you don't know, you usually put the n, like 2x, 3x. All over 360. And now we need to solve working backwards. So I need to times by 360, times by 360. So 7 times by 360 is equal to 2,520 is equal to 18 pi theta. And the last little stage, I need to divide by 18 pi, divide by 18 pi. So fraction button, 2520 divided by 18 pi is equal to theta is equal to one decimal place, 44.6 degrees. 4 marks that, 44.6, and notice this came up recently, towards the end of the paper, towards the end of the higher paper actually, so it is a hard question that. Okay, pop your hand up if you've got that down. Keep your hand up for me, just so I know you've got it down. Okay, so let's have a go at this next question then. Alright, this is the last question we'll do, and then we'll have a go at some on, we'll have a go at some ourselves. So here it is. The diagram shows, I think it's example 6, isn't it? Example 6. This will be the last example we'll do before you have a go at some yourself. The diagram shows sector OAB. The angle is 50 degrees, and it has an area of 20 pi centimeters squared. Calculate the perimeter of OAB. Now, this is a very, very common question. It's linking together the two things we know about sectors. So we need to know the formula for the area of a sector, which is equal to theta over 360 times by pi r squared. And it's also linking together the arc length, which is equal to theta over 360 times by 2 pi r. Now, because it's telling us our area, the first thing I'll need to do is to work out my... Well, the problem here is I can't work out the perimeter because I don't know what the radius is. I'm not sure what that is. So the first thing I need to do is to work out what my radius is, working backwards. Okay? So I'm going to use the formula for the area, which is this one first. And I'm going to sub in the two things I know, which is the fact that the theta, let's write them up here, theta is equal to 50, and my area is equal to 20 pi. Okay, so remember to follow the rules. We write down our formula that we're using first, then we substitute in, then we simplify, then we solve working backwards. So for this one here, my area is 20 pi, which is equal to theta, so 50 over 360 times by pi r squared. So there's our first part. We'll simplify that. 20 pi is equal to 50 pi r squared over 360. We're then going to times both sides by that 360. So times by 360 times by 360. So we end up with 20 shift 20 shift pi times by 360 is equal to, let's keep it in terms of pi for now, 7,200 pi, which is equal to 50 pi r squared. So then we need to divide both sides by 50 pi. Divide by 50 pi, divide by 50 pi. So divide by 50 pi is equal to 144 is equal to r squared. And then the last little stage, I need to square root my answer. So square root button first, square root of 144, which I know r is equal to 12. And there we go, that's the hard part there. Once you know what the radius is, this becomes a little easier. Because once we know what the radius is, we can then start to find out the arc length. And we know that the arc length is this one here. So we now know that the radius here is 12. So this is 12 and this is 12. And it's just following that same pattern we were using last time. So my arc length is equal to theta over 360 times by 2 pi r, which is equal to 50 over 360 times by 2 times by pi r times by 2 times by pi times by 12. So fraction button fraction button, hey. Fraction button first. 50 over 360 times by 2 shift pi. What's happened there? Clear it all. 50 over 360. Length to find the full perimeter, it's going to be the arc length plus the radius twice. So the perimeter is equal to 12 plus 12 plus 10.5. So 10.5 plus 12 is equal to 34.5 centimeters. Brilliant. So get all of that down. Okay, so if you are catching up at home with this, then here's some questions. I've got here's some questions for you to have a go at. So have a little go at those questions if you're catching up. So pause and have a go at that one. So pause and have a little go at that one. Okay, so here's the answers to those. So if you're catching up, well done.